Welcome to another CEO Wisdom Pod. We have Rodman Schley with us. Schley?
You're
Is that
close, Schley. Yes.
Schley? Okay, I knew I would mess it up. But yeah, Schley. Rod is a lot of things. Very successful guy. So CEO at Blue Fusion Capital. He is CEO at the Vacation Property Expert Network as well. He's been an Emmy nominated television host, a published author, and a podcast host as well. So, very accomplished guy, go getter. And we're going to discuss about his trajectory, which certainly has not been linear as an entrepreneur, as a CEO. It's always very challenging. So, I'm very eager to learn his lessons today. This podcast is brought to you by podpire.com. That is my podcasting company. If you want to start a podcast and monetize it through lead generation, sponsor generation, and AdSense money generation, you can go to podpire.com. Rod, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Well, life is definitely not linear for sure. I know that you mentioned that it's all over the place, but yeah, life's good. I'm somebody who's always enjoyed being an entrepreneur, always trying to align what I'm doing with my passions and what's I truly enjoy doing in life. And, sometimes that changes as we get older and as we go through our life and discover new things that we like or we don't like. But, I kind of feel like, just being somebody who's out there doing what I love. And I always encourage people to do the same thing because, life is short. And so many people get stuck doing the things they don't want to be doing. And then before they know it, life has passed them by. And they're wondering why they're very average at things instead of being exceptional at what they love doing.
And were you always that way, that entrepreneurial, that go getter, or did you sort of impose that on yourself?
No, I've always been that way. And it started when I was a kid. When I was 12 years old, I grew up in Nebraska of all places, small town Nebraska. And,
Warren Buffett,
out
shout
there
out.
when you worked, you would go out into tassel corn or you would walk the fields. And, I just didn't want to do that. And my dad said, well, you don't have to do that, but you got to go make money somehow. So age 12, I put together this kit and I walked door to door, painting people's addresses on their curbs. And instead of making $3.10 an hour, I started making $25 an hour. And ever since then, I said, this is much better. I get to dictate my hours. I get to dictate how I do things. I work my schedules. I do what I want to do. And I make a lot more money doing it. So entrepreneurship has always just kind of been a piece of who I am.
Right. And if I analyze your past here, commercial valuation consultants and Nine Ball Studios, you lasted almost 15 years doing these. Were these your first ventures? What were they about? And what lessons have you got from these two?
No, I think one of the biggest lessons that I learned, in being a serial entrepreneur, and it was a kind of a hard lesson because, sometimes you start putting profits before purpose. And when you're starting to make your decisions based on just money, because you see these opportunities, when you're an entrepreneur, you can't say no. It's hard to say no to opportunities. So you get these opportunities in front of you and you start taking on things that aren't aligned with who you are. And when you do that, unfortunately, what happens is you start to stray away from what's important to you and you start living a life that you weren't meant to be living and you get to be very, very average. So a lot of these companies, like when you talk about the commercial valuation consultants, that was a commercial appraisal company. I built that up to 25 employees. We got acquired in 2016. That firm did. Nine Ball Studios still is in production. We still produce television. We still produce a lot of video and such. But that was something that was aligned with me. Not that commercial valuations wasn't, but there was probably about a time when I had 13 companies going at one time. And I was very average at 13 things instead of being exceptional maybe at one thing or two things. And so I think the lesson that I learned during that time period is quit putting profits before purpose. Always lead with purpose. Not that profit's not important, no money, no mission. But at the same time, if you're very average and just doing things that you don't want to be doing in life, you're not going to be very good at it. So I always tell people, always make sure that whatever you're leading with, it's here, it's in your heart, it's what you want to be doing, because you'll make so much more money and you'll be so much better at it. You'll be an outlier in the space.
And how have you evolved as a human being and an entrepreneur in the past 15 years?
Oh, geez. I mean, significantly. The biggest one is being able to say no. I think that was one of the biggest things that for me, as I went down my life and learned my lessons, I came up with what I called my sacred check boxes. These were the things, these were the boxes that I had to be able to check on every deal that got put in front of me, because you get a lot of deals put in front of you day by day. But as you're doing that, unfortunately, if you're not sitting there saying no to the right things, you're going to struggle.
Right. And talking about the latest venture, you started your own TV show, right? How successful was that?
Well, it still airs. So it airs nationally on PBS. It's called Urban Conversion. It's about sustainability in urban areas, and it's still on the PBS networks. It does very well. We did get nominated for an Emmy. We lost, unfortunately, but for us, it's just an honor to be nominated for something like that. Really putting your heart into the work and then being rewarded with recognition of what you've put into the world.
Do you feel that TV is still a good outlet vs very high traction channels like YouTube or TikTok?
Well, it's one of those things. The opportunities now on YouTube, on TikTok, on social media are tremendous. We didn't have those for a long time. So yes, I think those opportunities are plentiful, and I think they just keep getting better and better and better.
What is your number one passion nowadays? Is it TV? Is it vacation rentals? Like, what's your number one guiding light nowadays?
Well, for me, again, I got my sacred check boxes. So when I do a deal, it's got to check 4 boxes for me. I want to invest, I want to travel, I want to inspire, and I want to teach. So anytime I do anything in life now, if it doesn't check those boxes, it's a hard no. I'm out. Because, when you're younger, you've got a lot of time. But as you age too, the opportunities become less and less. Your time gets less and less. So you've got to be very, very strategic in what you're taking on.
What do you invest in nowadays? Because it seems that, yeah, you've built a nice bank account, little moat for yourself there. What do you invest in, and what kind of returns do you expect in what amount of time?
Yeah, I love vacation rentals. But why? Well, because I love to invest and I love to travel. So it checked my boxes, but the returns on vacation rentals is very good too. For an example, my favorite property that we have is down in Costa Rica. And, we love Costa Rica. We love going down there. It aligns with who I am, where I like to go. But the returns are very good down there too. So the lending situation down there is difficult. But if you can go in and do cash deals in Costa Rica, you can get 15+% returns on your investments down there. So I've got basically money into Costa Rica. I'm getting paid every month for owning property in Costa Rica. But then I'm also going down. I went down there, just a couple of weeks ago to check on the property and did a little bit of surfing, made sure that our management was in place. And, it's one of those things where it fills me up inside. I get to make money doing it, but I get to travel, and I get to go to a place where I'm surfing at 10 a.m. and having Coronas on the beach by, 11:30, 12 o'clock.
There you go. As a former nomad that lived in Costa Rica as well, in Hereda, precisely near the Boaz volcano, I sort of got tired of traveling, right? Like the plane thing. And I may restart my nomad journey again if either I have an RV that doesn't fit in my driveway, or if I have a private jet. What do you like about traveling? Do you like the taking the plane part? Because that just messes with my chemistry, my time, and my money. So what do you like about traveling?
Yeah, I don't mind getting on a plane. I mean, for me, that's okay. But for me, when I'm going to different places, I just love taking in the culture. I mean, when I go down to, say, Costa Rica, the people are incredible, and the atmosphere is incredible. Whether it's going down to that market that they have on Saturdays and getting my fresh fruits and all the artisan people in there with their goods, and just really engaging with the people. I've got a guy down there who's a local artist. I mean, the guy literally lives in a house with no windows and doors, but just an incredible artist. And he just has these incredible things. So meeting these different people who are doing different things in life and are on different journeys is probably what I enjoy the most. But at the same time, I love getting on that surfboard. I'm not any good at it, but I still love getting out there and, clearing my mind and catching a few waves and falling down quite a bit, and life's good like that.
So I almost drowned when I first visited Costa Rica with my parents at like 8. Then I went surfing with my wife there. She almost drowned that time.
Ah,
What do you like about surfing? Do you get in that flow state? Is that this connection with nature? Like, why do you like that sport so much?
yeah, well, it's not like I said, I'm not good at it. And so and I, at my age, and I'm a little bit, I'm 55 years old. I picked it up just a few years ago. For me, it's I'm not aggressive enough where I'm going to sit there and probably drown. The waves that I go on aren't what you see on TV and these guys catching the big tubes and that's not me. I'm the guy who's on those little intermediate waves and putzing around. But when you're an entrepreneur and when you work so much and so hard, sometimes it's just a nice relief where you can just clear your mind. You can go out there. It's just you. You're not competing. You're just trying to be a little bit of a better version of yourself. You can let loose of all those things that are dragging you down in the day or making you, that are bringing you to a place maybe where you don't want to do, and you just want to release that all. And so for me, it just gives me a little bit of release and the opportunity to, again, and you know what it's like. You've been to Costa Rica. You go down there, time is different than it is here. It is so slow and it's so, it's just like I can go and I feel like I've gotten so much done by the time I've gotten up in the morning till noon. And I'm always amazed with how slowly the days move. So for me, just having that change in altitude, not altitude, I guess that would be a Jimmy Buffett song, changes in, what is it, the latitude. But going down there and just having an opportunity to slow down a little bit and surf a little bit and just ease my mind, it opens up your brain so that you can have new ideas and better thought and better actions.
Right. Yeah. Costa Rica is next level stuff. It's probably top 5 favorite country out. And I'm not just saying that from a tourist perspective, but also an economic perspective. The number one, obviously I'm biased, but I would think it's Mexico. That's on a very nice trajectory to grow. Um, Costa Rica, the climate is just different. It's like on the equator, so it's like humidity and species and plants. It's such a different environment. People need to absolutely go. Now, from an investment perspective, as a knowledge worker, as a guy that has multiple companies as well, multiple SaaS in the AI space, in the growth hack AI space, if I have the opportunity to invest 100K in one of my businesses or in real estate, I'll probably invest it in my businesses, which are mostly automated. Is vacation rental still an interesting option for me and tech first or tech savvy folks that are listening to this pod, or should they first invest in what they know?
It depends on what your goals are. So for you, you could sit there and you could look at $100,000 and you're going to know what your returns are going to be. Now, with me, I'm a real estate guy, so I understand what my returns are going to be when I'm investing in real estate, and that's kind of my MO. That's what I do. At the same time, though, there's so many people. Like there was a gentleman that I met when I was down there who was from San Francisco. He owned a tech company, but he didn't have to be in an office. He didn't have to be in San Francisco. So he was between San Francisco and Costa Rica all the time. He would go down there. He would had his investments down there, but he would work down there and he wasn't there. He'd just rent it. And so if you want a place, like if you have that flexibility and there's a place that you really like to be, that's the great thing about the real estate is you can invest in the real estate and you can work from virtually anywhere in the world anymore, depending on what you do in life. What you do, you could probably be down there and do the exact same thing that you're doing from where you're at right now. And so if you have that goal where it's like, yeah, I'd love to spend half of my year down in Costa Rica, or I'd like to spend half of my year in Florida or California or wherever it might be, you've got that opportunity and you can still make that money and you can still get those returns and have somebody else pay for you to be able to go down there half a year.
You're also big on raising capital for your own fund, right? Who are you targeting with this fund? How do you outreach to them? And what are your goals for 2025?
Yeah, so I do have a private equity fund, Blue Fusion Capital. We've got a Reg A+, which was a fund that was open to both accredited and non-accredited investors. That fund is closed right now, so we're not taking on additional investors at this time. But, when we were doing our outreach, it was generally people who were interested in investing in, they understood short-term vacation rentals. They understood the opportunity, they understood the upside, but they didn't want to deal with the properties. They didn't want to, buy the properties. They didn't want to manage the properties, but they wanted to have part of those investment fundamentals. So we had so many people that came into the fund. The way our fund was set up too was it gave them an opportunity to go stay at the properties that we owned at a discounted rate. So not only were they investors and getting returns, but they were also able to come in and stay at the properties they were owning. So a very flexible fund. A lot of the people who came in love to travel, but they also love to invest in that type of asset class.
How much of a headache was it to build in Costa Rica? Because here in Mexico, I know that it's not like in Canada when people build houses. It takes a very long time. It's a different structure, different laws. So was that painful for you?
Well, luckily we bought something that was existing. Like what we have down there was in place, but you still have to understand the landscape when you go into an international market. You need to know the laws. You need to set up a foreign corporation to be able to function there. You have to make sure you get management in place. You have to understand the labor laws there. There's so much to understand going into a market like that. So we didn't have to deal with the construction end of the equation. But at the same time, the good thing about a place like Costa Rica is their number one industry is tourism. Like there's so many markets, they don't want to have vacation rentals in their markets. They're outlawing them right now or regulating them highly. Down there, it's a no-brainer. They want people to come in and invest in the country, invest in property, and they want to have properties where people can come from all over the world into Costa Rica and support their number one industry, which is the tourism.
Tell me about taxes. You often write about taxes and have tips for people there. So what general advice do you have for US founders and CEOs about taxes?
In particular to the short-term vacation rentals?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, for us, the tax structure is a little bit different. So, I've got both a U.S. corporation and then we've got the foreign corporation. So we have monies when we're renting. Our U.S. company rents our foreign company's property. So we're renting the property here from our foreign company down there in Costa Rica. So that rental rate is what we pay taxes on down in Costa Rica. But then the income that we pay to the United States is the income generated into here, minus all of our expenses and what we pay out to Costa Rica. So there are tax advantages to it. There are some tax advantages that we don't have, though, by having a property in Costa Rica. Like, for an example, we can't expedite we can't do what they call a cost segregation. So we can't itemize all the different costs that we put into our depreciation amount to take those up front because our property is located in Costa Rica and the U.S. company doesn't actually own the property. It's the foreign corporation. So it's a little bit convoluted, a little bit hard to understand. But at the end of the day, we lose a few of the benefits that we'd have in the United States, but we gain a lot of the benefits by being down there.
Love it. Personally, what do you have on your map for 2025 for your own personal growth?
Oh, man, I'm always growing. I'm telling you what, if you're not growing, you're doing something wrong in life. Life, like I said, is short. And there's so many people who get up and think they know everything. I get up with the thing and say, I know nothing. I want to learn. I want to expand who I am. I want to be a better person. I want to serve more people. I want to take care of more people. I just want to make sure that when I'm getting up every single day, here's the thing is really you've got 3 phases in life, and that first phase, you're getting a lot of information, you're learning, you're getting better. Phase 2, man, you start locking it in. You start to really understand who you are. You understand how to do things. You become a master of things. But in phase 3, and I'm getting in that phase 3 right now, is when you need to take all those things that you've learned and all that experience that you have, and you need to pass it down. You need to pass it on to that next generation of people coming through who are in that phase 1 or that phase 2. And so for me, I just want to get up in 2025. I want to continue to serve people. I want to continue to get better. I want to continue to teach. And if there's those people that are sitting in the fence because maybe they don't know what they want to do or how they want to do it, I want to give them those inspirational moments where they get over that hump and really start living the life that they're meant to be living.
Love that. What a message. Rod, where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, if anybody wants to find me, go rodman.com is my website. I do have a book out called The Outlier Mindset, which is about being exceptional in life. You can find that on amazon.com. And then I've also got Vacation Property Secrets, which also teaches people how to buy vacation homes.
Love it. That was Rod Schley and Charles Cormier for another CEO wisdom.